Again to Soccer World, and this time around on In Depth, we are looking at Liam Rosenior and Chelsea. He was given a 6 years contract when he was appointed and started his duty in January 9th, but I still stand. I don't know whether he's going to complete his 6 years tenure, but just before the international break, Chelsea were on a losing run of 4 games in all competition. In all competition, and they were not just close losses, they were sometimes big losses, just as 5-2 against Paris Saint-Germain away from home, 3-0 against Paris Saint-Germain again at home, 1-0 at home to Newcastle, then 3-0 away at Everton. Big wins, big losses that have big implication for Chelsea, even in their pursuit of Champions League football. So I want to do a brief breakdown actually into Liam Rosenior and Chelsea. Now, it all started, let's remember that it all started well for him. He also started well for Liam Rosenior at Chelsea. He started well with a win against Charlton, 5-1 against Charlton. Then he lost 2-3. Yes, he lost 2-3 at home against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. Then he won 2-0 against Brentford at home. Then he won 1-0 I think at home against Paphos, then 3-1 against Palace, then the 3-2 Napoli win, then that's famous or infamous 3-2 comeback win against West Ham United. Then he lost 1-0 against Arsenal again. That was heavily criticized as being a defensive a game for him against Arsenal. And after this time, I think he still won 3-1 against Wolves. But then still the cracks started. In fact, for me, I started noticing the cracks against Wolves. I started noticing the cracks against Wolves. That the second half, Wolves wanted to come back and still where they were in the game, despite Chelsea 3 goal advantage, they were still in the game. But the crack didn't show until Chelsea played. Then Chelsea played Leeds United. From that Leeds United, from 2 goals up, they went to draw 2-2 at home. Then they won 4-0 against Hull City. Then they were 1-0 up against Burnley at home. They drew again. Then you know that Wrexham, it took them to extra time to before they could win against Wrexham. So right now, although he has the statistics, based on the statistics, during his time he has played 10 league games for Chelsea, and during those 10 league games he has 17 points. And if you look at the Premier League table from his time to this point, he is actually fourth on the league on the league table. But that doesn't tell the whole story. He doesn't actually. He has made some mistakes, and that's what I want to break down. What has actually gone wrong for him. I think to start with injuries. That's injury and discipline. Against Arsenal, they were reduced to 10 men. Pedro Neto got a red card. Against Burnley, they were reduced to 10 men. What's the name of this guy? For Wesley Fofana got and received a red card. That discipline issue that plagued Maresca has not left them. So disciplinary issue one way. Then injury, we have Rhys James, even Wesley Fofana, Estival. Those guys have been injured, and we have Lavia, the leg of glass, as I will always call him. They've never been fit. Now Chaloba is out. Rhys James is also out. So his backline most of the time has been stretched and stretched and stretched out of border. So on that, I will say, okay, like injuries, a big part, maybe because of the number of games they have to play. So injury is also one big limiting factor that has contributed to their sharp and consistent decline. Like they are just going down, going down, going down. Sharp and consistent decline. Injuries, and we can all see that there are big names, and some of their key players have been out on injury. But another thing is tactics. Now, this is where it gets a little bit amazing. He said himself that because when he came to Chelsea, he didn't have enough time to implement his ideas. So he had to stick with he stuck with Enzo Maresca's formation. So he didn't change much. So during the time that he won, I think 6 out of 7 matches, they were largely playing using Enzo Maresca's formation, Enzo Maresca's patterns Enzo Maresca, still based on what Enzo Maresca did. But because of that, they didn't have to go for true player because they won 3-2 against Napoli. So during those times, he now started introducing his ideas, and that is where the cracks begin to show. When he won 6 out of 7, there was really no problem that because he said it himself that he didn't have enough time to implement it, that to train the player, to show them his own pattern. So the players were just largely doing what they already know, which was Enzo Maresca's ideology. Now, when he now started implementing his idea, demanding the goalkeepers to play a bit higher, changed. No, he dropped Sanchez. He even said that no, he doesn't believe in that number one goalkeeper, that there is a particular goalkeeper that has to play number one, that you can rotate the goalkeeper the same way you rotate any of the outfield players. That one, I believe that's his first mistake. He should have just stuck with Sanchez. So he dropped Sanchez for Jorginho. Then Jorginho made mistakes. Then he dropped. Then Jorginho had injury. Then we now brought back Sanchez to the fold. Sanchez maybe lost form or something. But we know that both of their goalkeepers are actually nonsense. Anyway, they are nonsense. But the lesser nonsense was Sanchez during Maresca's tenure. So I think he should have stuck with that. But his tactics were wrong. So immediately he started implementing his tactics. That's where you start seeing these big losses and inconsistency. Look at against Newcastle. Newcastle's goal was a through ball. Now, when you look at against Everton too, their first goal or the second goal against Everton, their first goal, the second goal, there was also a true ball. You see, when you see those positional lapses, that gaps like that, when you see that they can split your defense or your midfield apart with one pass, that is not just on the player alone. That's not just on positional awareness of the player. It's also because you set up a team to play in a particular way. The setup itself is troublesome. Let's say that Barcelona play a lot of highline. So if you kind of get in behind the headline, maybe you use a lot of long ball, you can't just blame any of the defenders. You say Marcos Bena or Arojo. You can't blame them because of that. They've set themselves up to play. The coach set them to play in a particular way. And that's the same thing with Liam Rosenior. I think he has set Chelsea up to play using his own ideas now to play in a particular way that now make it easy for them to just getting ripped apart by PSG, apart by Everton, apart by Newcastle. And we don't know what Manchester City will do to them. And to this, he said that, and I listened to, I read some of his in recent interview. He said he's going to work with his team during this international break. That in this international break couldn't come soon enough for them. So that's about tactics. And I've spoken about injuries. I've spoken about their discipline, and I've spoken about the tactics. So the when the international break is over, their fixtures is not forgiving. They have City, they have United, they have Brighton, and they will play Port Vale in April 11th, April 4th, before they start playing City, United, and Brighton. And we see how that goes. I know they will beat Port Vale, then they will qualify to the semi-final of the FA Cup. But what happens with City? What happened with United? What happened with Brighton? Based on the report we have from Chelsea BBC reporter Niza Kinsella yesterday, he said they are not going to sack him now and did not have intention to sack him before the end of the season. So that begs the question: they have a plan with him, but with the plan, because if you keep on losing, I read from a report yesterday that Chelsea model their financial they model their finances with the Europa League with the intention that if they don't, they model it that they won't qualify for the Champions League, but Europa League. So it kind of look like the amount of money that will come to them. So they have predicted that maybe they won't qualify for the Champions League, but be that as it may, the fans are not happy, and the fans are not necessarily not happy with Rosinho. They are not happy with the club. Now let's look at their recruitment. For instance, let's say Gittins that were recruited from Dortmund for is it 50 million, 52. Garnacho from Manchester United. What has these two guys done to help them? What? Nothing. Nothing. Estival 18 year old, it was when he was playing was better than these two guys. even whether they play the same movie or not. So the recruitment is not just down on the coach. If you have spent this a lot of money, it's expected that you have a quality goalkeeper, not one goalkeeper and inshallah one goalkeeper put a goalkeeper there and expecting things to happen. So the recruitment too, they have to take a blame, and that bounce right back to the owner. You can't be at Chelsea and be expecting the fans to understand. But that is my analysis about Chelsea, and I want to hear what you think about what you think about what's going on, because I feel the injury. I feel that the change of tactics initially it started with he didn't change Maresca's tactics, but now he's implementing this idea, and the player even Enzo Fernandez came out to say that they don't know what's going on, they don't understand, so the player are confused, they can't seem to implement because it's mid-season actually, it's mid-season, so they can't implement his ideas. And that's all from in-depth this today. Please don't forget to like and share and subscribe. Thank you. See you.